All right, week 10, Thursday night football. Broncos 10, Raiders 7. Honestly, one of the most pathetic games I've probably watched this season. It didn't put me to bed because there was a lot going on. Missed field goals, blocked punts, interceptions, banging off multiple guys. It was an interesting night, but purely from a product of football, like skill and talent perspective, I've watched a lot of games this year. This probably takes the crown as the worst I've watched. I was so dissatisfied watching the offenses go to work tonight. And I know the Raiders haven't been good all year. Offensive line struggles. You trade away Jacoby Myers. Brock Bowers has been injured for the majority of the year. Didn't do much tonight. Ashton Genty, probably not the best decision to go running back when you're a rebuilding franchise. First round. I think they picked 6th overall. We'll talk about that right away. But the Broncos, I kind of expected them tonight, and maybe this is my fault, but I kind of expected the offense to just take over. Divisional game, you're much better than the Raiders, much more talented. You got a lot more going for you. You're 7-2. I believe you're first in the AFC at 8-2 now. I kind of thought, just like they did against Dallas, they would take over the game and start off hot, which they haven't done really all year long. I thought Bo Nix would finally have that game with this offense where you show the league, we can dominate teams. And I know it's the NFL, but I really expected that out of the Broncos today. Again, defense you can always rely on. But the offense was just horrific for both teams, but specifically the Broncos, who are now 8-2, and the offense has pretty much looked like this all year long, minus the fourth quarter. It's pretty shocking. I was stunned, to be honest with you. But anyways, you know the drill. Back on the JV show with JV. We're recapping Thursday Night Football. We'll talk Raiders. We'll talk Broncos. Get you prepped for an awesome Week 10 in the NFL. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. The support's been awesome this year. We hit 3K. I can't thank you guys enough for showing me love on this platform. We're pushing for 4K. We're going to do it, baby. I love you guys. I appreciate it. So if you wouldn't mind, like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way. And before we get started, I would like to remind you this season I'm sponsored by my guys over at Big Third Down Shop. You'll notice in my episodes I'll rotate hats, different NFL hats, this JV show one included, which they sent me. You can find them all in the link in my bio. Big Third Down Shop. Go get your NFL gear, NFL fan gear, hats. They're coming out with a lot more, so stay tuned for that. But for now, go ahead, grab yourself a hat, support them, an up-and-coming business. They're doing phenomenal work. They're sponsoring me, and I can't thank them enough for getting me hooked up with some real cool NFL gear for the season. So go show them some love. And without further ado, let's talk Broncos. Let's talk Raiders. Look, Vegas is not the team this year, obviously, right? They're not contending for anything this year, besides the number 1 overall pick, obviously. I had some fans from Vegas actually reach out to me during the offseason, telling me I was sleeping on the team, and I was like, I don't think so. Geno Smith, he's all right. He's been worse than all right for the majority of the year. They don't have an offensive line. The defense is bad. I don't really see it, and I missed on a few things this season for sure. The Raiders were not one of them. I was pretty certain this team wasn't going to look very good. They were going to be a top 10 draft pick, and it's shaping out to be that way. Geno Smith obviously isn't the future. They need an offensive line. They're in rebuild mode, right? They're a rebuilding team. I don't think they have a shot next year either. I think they have a long way to go. The Ashton Genty pick looks worse and worse every single week. And it's not Ashton Genty. It's partially him, I guess. He hasn't produced the way we expected it. But at the same time, you don't have an offensive line that blocks for your running back. The pass game is non-existent. You trade away Jacoby Myers. Brock Bowers has been out almost all year long. So when you're relying on a rookie running back to come in and save the offense with no quarterback play, with no receivers, with no offensive line, this is the result you're going to get. You know, I was stunned when people expected this to be the pick of the draft. Now, I picked Ashton Genty to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Most likely won't happen. And I picked that only because I expected there to just be an insane amount of volume tossed his way. Just an insane amount of touches for him, because really he should have been the focal point of this offense. Or he is the focal point of this offense, whichever way you want to slice it up. But with the offensive line, with the state of the offensive line, there are very few running backs that will produce more than Ashton Genty behind that offensive line. It's just not going to happen. When you're a rebuilding team, I would hesitate to draft a running back with an early first-round pick when you need a quarterback, when you need protection, when you need help on defense, when you need a star wide receiver. In my opinion, running back isn't the right move. And I've said that since day one. I said it was the wrong pick, and it has nothing to do with Ashton Genty and his talent. It just wasn't the right fit, because at this rate, you can't really fix your offensive line in one offseason like you can if you make some moves in free agency and draft a guy or two, but it's unlikely they fix their offensive line in one season. So by the time everything's ready to go, Ashton Genty's going to be in year 4 or year 5. And at that point, I guarantee you, he's going to want to make a call to get out of Vegas. You can't draft the cherry on top before you build the sundae. You just can't, because all you're left with is a freaking cherry. You got this cherry alone in this bowl. Like, you know what I mean? You drafted the Ferrari, you didn't pave the driveway. Like, you got to lay the foundation first. And this team from top to bottom is just struggling. Like, they're just flat out struggling. The offense can't produce. The defense sucks. Tonight, it was pretty good, but like, you're playing the Broncos offense, which hasn't looked good all year. I don't want to take away from their game and their performance, but we'll talk about Bo Nix and that offense in a second. Right now, I don't think it's anything to celebrate, you know, or cheer for. Like, it was a good game. But again, all year long, it's been the same story. Offense can't produce. Defense, all right, needs a lot of help still. It's just bad in Vegas. They're going to have a top 5 draft pick. And with how Geno has looked this year, I would assume, I haven't really looked at the college draft board or the rankings for the 2026 draft, but I would assume the Raiders would be looking into quarterback. You got to get a guy that you can trust back there. And shout out Geno tonight. I mean, he was banged up. He got injured during the game. He thugged it out, did what he could. Receivers couldn't catch a cold tonight. But he's clearly not the guy for the future. All year long, it's been, at best, average. Like, Geno tonight was 16 of 26, 150 yards, an interception. It's not good. The Raiders need a lot of help. And unfortunately, the few talents that they got on offense in Genty and Brock Bowers, it's going to waste right now. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Genty's off this team in a few years. Just like all the other good running backs in the NFL. Jacobs, Henry, CMC, Barkley. They all end up leaving their shitty franchises to go somewhere and try to win. I've said that since day one, and I will stand on that. As for the Broncos, like I said, and I opened up the episode saying, like, I expected Denver tonight to just manhandle the Raiders. Like, I thought this was a write-off. And I know it's the NFL, and I know games are close when you don't expect them to be close. But the Broncos are the best team in the AFC, record-wise. And the offense couldn't do squat against the Raiders. It was brutal. Like, it was a horrific watch. If you take the fourth quarter away, Bo Nix has been a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL this season. And that's not an over-exaggeration. He has not played good for the first 3 quarters of games all year long. And he's relied on his fourth quarter heroics to build the stat sheet, to build up his numbers, which don't look too bad. But when you don't get a fourth quarter comeback, you're left with, what were his stats tonight? 16 of 28, 150 yards for a touchdown and 2 interceptions. You're left with garbage. All year long, I've watched him overthrow receivers deep. I've watched him throw interceptions into double coverage like he did with the Raiders tonight. And the second one, obviously, not entirely his fault. Off a receiver's hands or his shoulder. I think it was Troy Franklin. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Bo Nix has played terrible football for the majority of this season. He's honestly regressed from his rookie year. He had a pretty strong rookie year. Now, keep in mind, the play calling was pretty vanilla. They kind of opened up the playbook as the year went on, and he made some big-time throws at the end of last year and took them to the playoffs, which was awesome. But this season, with the state of that defense, leading the NFL in sacks, they had 6 against Geno tonight. All we're asking is for Bo Nix to play complementary football. You don't have to be Josh Allen. You don't have to be Lamar and carry your team. Just put up 20 to 25 points every single night. 20 points is all we're asking for. And play consistent football. Like, you should be able to do that. And I know he's only in his second year. He is an older quarterback. I believe he's either 26 or turning 26 right now. But, like, you know, something. He's been really inaccurate. He's been an inaccurate quarterback this year. Now, tonight, I'll give him some credit. He made some nice passes climbing up into the pocket, finding his guys over the middle for some big gains. He had 1 or 2 really nice drives tonight. But overall, it's been pretty below average. And I genuinely believe, and you pull up the stats, and it says the exact same thing. You take away the fourth quarter, and Bo Nix this year has been brutal. You can blame Bo Nix. You can blame the play calling. You can blame the maybe lack of talent. Like, Sutton's a good receiver, but he's no Jamar Chase or Jefferson, and they don't really have a number 2. The run game is good, but it's not anything that jumps out at you. And Sean Payton this year, I mean, I've listened to the fans. I've heard them talk. I've watched the games. He hasn't been incredible by any means, especially in the red zone. Like, the one thing that bothers me about his play calling, and I was actually telling somebody this tonight, I hope I can find a wife that loves me like Sean Payton loves his screen passes. Seriously, he loves them. He eats them up. He can't get enough of them, even when they're not working, and especially when they get down to the red zone. You can always bank on at least 1 or 2 screen passes from this Broncos offense. It is torture. I know you're missing some talent in the receiving room. I know you don't have an A-plus squad of talent offensively. I know there's not a lot of versatility in the receiver room. Like I said, Courtland Sutton's good, but primarily a guy that goes deep. You can throw a 50-50 ball up to. And besides that, you're still waiting for a breakout guy. Is it Mims? Is it Troy Franklin? Troy Franklin, for me, for fantasy purposes, has been great these past few weeks. But in real life, on the field, you haven't had a number 2 breakout. The run game is good, but it's not great. J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey, they're a solid duo. But again, it's nothing to rave about. So I get it, right? Like, Sean Payton is doing what he can with the talent that he's got. But the play calling, especially in the red zone, has been subpar this year. Now, I don't want to get after Sean Payton. I don't want to say Sean Payton is the primary problem. Because at the end of the day, Bo Nix is not executing. And Sean Payton last year with a rookie quarterback won 11 games and brought the Broncos to the playoffs. So I think it's irrational to go after Sean Payton and the job he's done. Like, yes, maybe the play calling is concerning, but he's done a lot of good stuff. I talked about this, I believe, on the show with Seven on Monday night of head coaches and how to judge them really when they're not playing the game. How can you truly know when it's time for a head coach to go? And when it's just the players, that's the problem. You don't really know. Like, from a fan's perspective, it's hard to figure that out. So I'm not going to get after Sean Payton and say, like, he's the reason why this team and why this offense can't produce. Because there's lots of problems, like I've pointed out all episode long. But he's definitely one of the problems. He's definitely a problem for this offense. And whether the biggest issue is Bo Nix, Sean Payton, the lack of talent, whatever it is, they got to figure it out. Because you have a top 3 defense in football that will win you 10 games this year, at least. But if you play that brand of offense, you will not win a game in the playoffs. You'll either get the bye first round and lose in the divisional, or you'll straight up lose in the wild card and get sent home like you did last year against the Bills. So moving forward, for the Raiders, you're looking at next year already. You're looking at the draft, you're preparing. But for the Broncos, and a lot of people, including myself, I feel like were surprised. I was surprised about the Bills. I'm also surprised the Broncos didn't go out and make a move. A lot of people were saying Jalen Waddle potentially. Something more for this offense maybe. Could have been useful, for sure, for the play calling and, just getting a guy out there that you can trust to go out there and have 100 yards receiving on the day. Because besides Courtland Sutton, and I don't even know really what his stats have looked like this year. We'll just pull him up real quickly here. Like, he hasn't had 100 yards this season. He's missed a few games. His biggest day was 10 targets, 6 receptions, 87 yards. Tonight, it was nothing. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 24 yards. He hasn't been the receiver they expected this year. So getting somebody else in the rotation would have been nice, I think, at the trade deadline. But, moving forward, this offense has to change something. You got to get something going. There is no variety in the play calling. You can almost always expect what's coming from this offense. As an offensive unit, you have to be better, or else you're being sent home round 1 in the playoffs this year again. And it would just be a huge, colossal waste of such a talented defense. What this defense has done this year is absolutely phenomenal. I haven't really looked at all the stats, but I'm damn sure They're high up there. Like top 5 in points against per game. I think they're number 1 in sacks with 46 on the season, like I said. I'm sure they have a bunch of other number 1 or top 5 finishes in stats halfway through the year. And that's how it's going to be for the rest of the season. And this is all without PS2, by the way, these past few weeks. So I'm rooting for Denver. I think they're a good team. I think Bo Nix has it in him. I'm not saying that he is, a bottom 5 quarterback, although he's performed like it this year. I think he's better than that. I think he's shown us at points, specifically last year, that he can be counted on as the guy. But we need to see that now. We need to see that dog come out because this offense is not good enough. This offense isn't talented enough for Bo Nix to have an off day. The defense certainly is. But the offense in the playoffs is not talented enough for Bo Nix to take the day off and hope for the best. It's just not going to happen. And that's it. I appreciate you for tuning in. As always, it's been a phenomenal evening. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on Sunday for the Sunday afternoon recap. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. See you soon.